you can praise God in your wilderness, God will show up in your wilderness. And when the devil comes to try to finish you off, he's going to run into God in your praise. And when you got God in your praise, so the wilderness is a trap, all right. God Union, it is not a trap, no kind of way for the people of God. The wilderness is a trap for the enemy. It's a setup. I could preach right there, I could stay right there, but I got something I got to say to y'all. In the wilderness, we learn how to fight. In the wilderness, God teaches us how to fight. David, the warring prophetic psalmist king, was trained to fight in the wilderness. It is in the wilderness when the sheep were grazing and David was overseeing a shepherd that the sheep and the lion showed up. And David practiced his wrestling skills and practiced his hand-to-hand combat and whooped the sheep and the lion, ripping the sheep out of the mouth of them both. It was in the wilderness. It is certainty, and a certainty that God raises up warriors, mighty warriors in the wilderness. Saul's anger, King Saul, was angry at David. He drove David deep into the wilderness. And there he hid in a cave called Adullam's cave. And using a cave as a shelter from the inclement conditions of the desert. Men heard that he was there, and they came to him broke and distressed and discontented, and they sat at the feet of David in a wilderness in a cave. And these men became what the Bible calls David's mighty men. They became mighty warriors. The wilderness produced these studs. The wilderness made these men. It's like being from the hood, y'all. Come on, y'all. Stuff don't bother you when you've been through what you got some wimps out here. Stuff get difficult. They go like, oh, tell me, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And you ain't never had nothing. You've had to fight all your life. I had to fight all my life. You've had to go through some stuff and deal with some stuff, and this stuff don't mean nothing. That ain't nothing. You're not trying to be insensitive to people who are whining about not having a loaf of bread on the table when people ain't got no shoes on their feet. You're not being insensitive when you tell people you need to shut up because you're complaining about your car running on 89 octane instead of 93. Somebody put 89 instead of 93 in your car. You ain't had no car. You walked, you took the bus. Come on, just one pair of shoes with cardboard in the bottom of them. Come on, your brother's shoes that were 2 sizes too large. Come on, girls, your sister's underwear that you had to tie up on the side. Your mama hand-me-down, this and that. Come on, talk to me here. And you're going to tell me that you got a problem with something? Are you out of your ever-loving mind? When you've been through the wilderness, when you've been through some tough stuff, you learn how to fight, you learn how to deal with some things, and you don't let the problems that are gonna come stop you, because if God brought you through that, this ain't nothing. If God can take you through that, this is a piece of cake. Let the church say. So, in closing, I hope you're getting the picture. There is a purpose for every trial. There's a purpose for every test. There's a purpose for every difficulty that God allows in your life. And through your wilderness situations and dilemmas, He will shape you into the mighty man and woman of God that will know how to relate to Him in the good times. In the good times. So it's getting clear to me that you would not even be in a position, and we would not be in this position that we're in now to possess or accomplish what it is that God has in store for us if it were not for the wilderness. He said, remember it, for in it I taught you some things. God even uses the wilderness to reclaim backsliding. Come on, y'all. He will allow all hell to break loose just to get your attention again. He'll let you be so alone. You got to get so down, there ain't nowhere to look but up. Come on, I know some of y'all have been there and done that. How many of you have tried to walk away from God, do your own thing, put God on hold, and you wound up with some folk that you ain't got no business hanging out with? Like the prodigal son, you joined yourself with citizens in another country, and you started acting like folk that you know you shouldn't act like. You started dressing like folk you know you should dress like. You started talking like folk you know you shouldn't talk like. And it was in that situation when then all of a sudden you realized these were not your friends, because the moment you couldn't provide for them and do for them and stroke them, or the moment they met somebody else, they drew you away from God and then left you hanging. Lord have mercy. But God will let you be left hanging just to get your undivided attention. It is in that wilderness situation that you got to look up and say, you know what? I ain't stunting another man. I ain't stunting another woman. I am not laying my head on another chest of somebody that I don't know. I'm going to lay my head in the chest in the lap of God, and I ain't letting go this time. God will allow your situation to bring you back to Him. Backslide. Come back home. In the wilderness.